The storm never knew your name, but it sure remembered your strength. They didn't just go against you, they challenged the universe itself when they came for you. What they didn't understand is, when the universe chooses someone, it fights back. You weren't just surviving. You were being sharpened, reshaped, reforged in silence while they laughed, mocked, plotted. But every hit they threw was actually ricocheting off your destiny, bouncing off a future too powerful for them to touch. They never had a real chance. They came with fake smiles and hidden knives. They tried to dim a light they didn't ignite. But here's what they never expected. The light was never yours to begin with. It was the universe moving through you. And now, it's about to blind every single person who thought you were weak. So before we go deeper, make sure to like and subscribe, not just for you, but for every other chosen one out there still walking through fire, thinking they're alone. Your click tells YouTube this message needs to reach more souls who are quietly carrying worlds on their backs. Help signal the algorithm that the chosen are waking up, and we're not whispering anymore. What you've been through in silence is about to be revealed, and it's going to send shockwaves through everyone who thought they had you figured out. This isn't just a comeback. This is a cosmic rebalance. The universe doesn't pick favorites without purpose, and when it picks you, it protects you, but it also exposes everything that tried to break you. They thought they had you boxed in, broken down, predictable. But you were never in their little story. You were on a path written by something they can't touch or see. You've survived sabotage disguised as love, betrayal in family form, attacks so quiet no one else even saw them. And still, you didn't fold. The truth you carry now, it's not just your story, it's a weapon. A truth so deep, it makes liars twitch. It turns fake friends into strangers and forces your enemies to face themselves in a mirror they've spent years avoiding. You're not just exposing what happened, you're forcing everyone who wronged you to finally deal with what they did. The power of being chosen isn't about walking peacefully, it's about walking through war without losing your light. It's about being underestimated so long that your rise feels like thunder. It's about becoming the very storm they thought would destroy you. And let's be clear, you were never alone. That feeling, that isolation, that's part of the shaping process. The universe puts its strongest in the quietest rooms, in the loneliest corners, so their power can grow undisturbed. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared. Now that you're stepping out of the shadows, they won't recognize you, because you're not who you were. You're who you had to become. The survivor, the truth bearer, the shock they never saw coming. So let them be stunned. Let them scramble to rewrite the narratives they built around your silence. Because the real story, the one you lived, the one you survived, is far more powerful than their lies ever were. And now it's yours to tell. This isn't just survival, this is revelation, and you are the one delivering it. So, if your spirit's still buzzing after hearing that, good. That's not just emotion, that's alignment. The universe doesn't echo for no reason. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you've ever had to sit in silence while people wrote false stories about your life. If you've ever had to heal without applause. If you know something powerful is waking up in you right now, stay with this. Let it pull you in. This message isn't background noise, it's a mirror. And if you truly are one of the chosen, you're going to feel every word in your bones. Now, let's get into it. Number 1, time to rip the mask off. The truth's about to taste like fire to the ones who tried to bury it. They didn't break you, They just handed you proof of how untouchable you really are. This is the part they never expected, that you'd survive long enough to talk about it, that you'd crawl out of every dark room they locked you in and bring a spotlight with you. And now that spotlight is aimed right at the truth they tried so hard to hide. They spent years pushing lies, creating fake versions of your story, rewriting you like you were some disposable side character in their little drama. But the plot just flipped, and now you're the headline. Understand this. When the universe chooses someone, it builds a shield around them that no enemy can see, but every enemy feels. That discomfort they have around you, that sudden hate out of nowhere, that urge to discredit you without cause. That's not random. That's spiritual recoil. They're reacting to your presence the way shadows react to the sun. And guess what? The brighter your light, the louder the panic. And now here you are, standing in the space they swore you'd never reach. You didn't just survive. You endured things that were engineered to break you. Silent wars, attacks with no proof, smiles that hid sabotage, people clapping for you in public while cursing you in private. You were surviving in plain sight while they were performing. Let's get one thing straight. They weren't fighting you. They were wrestling with the force that chose you. They were throwing punches at the universe and thinking it wouldn't punch back. And now the universe is pulling receipts through you. So speak, loud, clear, unapologetic. Your truth isn't just personal, it's cosmic ammunition. Every word you say now is a vibration that undoes the curses, the lies, the silence. This is bigger than storytelling. This is balance being restored. And whether they're ready or not, the truth is coming through. Some will say you're being dramatic. Let them. Some will say you're exaggerating. Let them. The same ones who accused you of being too sensitive were the ones who got uncomfortable every time you came close to clarity. They needed you confused, quiet, doubting. But those days are gone. They wanted you to forget what was done to you, to play nice, to heal quietly. But there is nothing polite about rising. There is nothing soft about truth. Sometimes truth feels like thunder, because that's what it takes to wake the world up. And to the chosen ones who are still struggling with self-doubt, still wondering, why me? Hear this clearly. You were never alone. Not once. Not even in your darkest hour. The silence around you wasn't abandonment. It was sacred construction. The universe clears the room when it's building something indestructible. You were isolated so your gifts wouldn't be polluted. You were silenced so your voice would carry weight when it finally broke free. Stop questioning your worth. Stop dimming your light to keep the fragile comfortable. You've been given the kind of strength that makes enemies out of people who haven't even spoken to you. That's not ego. That's energy. That's alignment. They weren't reacting to your personality. They were reacting to your purpose. You might ask, why did they target me? I wasn't doing anything to them. Exactly. That's what scared them. You were just being, and that alone disrupted their whole illusion. You don't have to swing to be a weapon. When the universe backs you, even your stillness has power. And to the ones who tried to break you, what did you think would happen? That you could mock the chosen and stay untouched? That you could tamper with a soul in alignment and not feel the aftermath? You were playing chess against the very hands that created the board. And now the game is over. Your story is not just survival, it's a signal. It's a message to every other chosen one still buried under the rubble of silence. When you speak, you unlock others. You show them that they're not crazy, not weak, not broken, just becoming. This is why you can't stay quiet. Not anymore. You were chosen to be the alarm, the shock, the disruption, the very sound that shatters illusions. You've carried pain that would have crushed most people. You've smiled with a shattered heart. You've lifted others while bleeding. And now you lift the curtain. Let your truth echo. Let your survival sting. Let the people who thought they knew you choke on the revelation of who you really are. And don't you dare feel guilty. Don't you dare apologize for being stronger than they hoped you'd be. You weren't built to be liked. You were built to last. And now, the moment you were prepared for has finally arrived. Because chosen ones don't just survive storms, they become them. And what you're about to say, what you're about to reveal, it's not just going to turn heads, it's going to turn the tables. Let's keep going. Number 2, they bet against the flame, and now they're watching the firewalk. They never expected you to rise, because they were too busy counting your scars to notice your spine, too busy watching your breakdown to realize they were witnessing your build-up. They were so sure the storms they sent would drown you, they never even looked twice to see if you were floating, let alone walking on water. You weren't just meant to survive, you were designed to defy. The weight they dropped on you was supposed to crush you, not crown you. But the universe doesn't play by their rules, and neither do you. See, the mistake they made wasn't just underestimating you, it was misunderstanding what you're made of. You're not stitched together with surface-level strength. You're sewn from silence, fire, and everything unspoken. You were built in invisible rooms, shaped by unseen hands, and armored with the very pain they thought would take you out. They laughed while you cried. They celebrated while you healed. They whispered lies about you loud enough to echo. But now it's your truth that's shaking the walls. That silence you kept, it was your forge. That loneliness, your transformation chamber. And every time you chose not to clap back, not to explain yourself, not to give them the satisfaction, they thought they were winning. But all you were doing was rising in secret. And now they have to watch. You were never meant to be another name on their list of broken ones. You weren't put here to be a footnote in someone else's power trip. You were the main event this whole time. The universe was setting the stage while they were setting traps. And now the curtains are pulling back and you're still standing. Let them look confused. Let them blink in disbelief. Let them ask, how? While you walk past the ruins they left you in. They don't get to understand you. Not anymore. You weren't chosen for them to get it. You were chosen to interrupt everything they thought they knew. The same spotlight that used to burn you, that used to feel too big, too hot, too much, it's different now. That light no longer exposes your wounds. It amplifies your power. Because you're not walking into that light as someone who needs approval. You're walking in as someone who carries the proof. Proof that you were targeted, proof that you did suffer, proof that you still rose, and proof that no one, not a person, not a lie, not even a storm, can cancel what the universe has already confirmed. This is not just any moment. This is your moment. Stitched into the very thread of time, locked in by cosmic forces that only align when destiny has something to say. And today, destiny has a lot to say. You're not just coming back, you're arriving like thunder in a place they thought would stay quiet forever. The whispers have stopped, the masks are cracking, and all the energy they poured into your downfall, it's echoing back into their own undoing. Because here's what no one told them. When the universe chooses someone, it rearranges everything for their rise. It shifts people, situations, timelines. What felt like loss was repositioning. What looked like rejection was redirection. What felt like abandonment was insulation. The universe wasn't being cruel. It was clearing the room for your entrance. And yet, some of you still carry guilt for rising. Still wonder if maybe you're being too much, if you should go back to being quiet, smaller, less threatening. Let me say it straight. You don't owe their comfort your silence. You don't owe your dimming to anyone who threw shade at your shine. They didn't expect you to rise because they thought pain was enough to kill someone like you. But what they didn't know is that pain was your alarm clock. It woke up parts of you you didn't even know existed. It woke up the speaker, the healer, the leader, the fire starter. And now you're awake. So let them talk. Let them choke on the story they tried to write for you. Let them sit front row while you deliver a performance they could never predict. This is your elevation, not because you begged for it, but because you earned it. So rise, loud, bright, fully, and let the silence you were buried in become the thunder that follows you everywhere. Because the real ones, they never stay down. Let's keep going. Number 3, the doors. Didn't shut on you, they shut for you. They said you were unlucky, that you must have done something wrong, that all those slammed doors, unanswered calls, lost jobs, broken relationships, failed plans, it was just your bad choices, bad karma, or bad timing. But no, what they called rejection was actually divine recalibration. The universe was stepping in and rerouting you away from rooms too small for your purpose, people too shallow for your depth, and paths too temporary for your legacy. You weren't being pushed out, you were being pushed forward, because when you're chosen, you're not allowed to settle. And so, the universe will disrupt anything that threatens to limit your growth, even if it means breaking your heart to expand your future. While they were busy clapping for themselves, thinking they had one-upped you, thinking you were spiraling, thinking you'd never recover, you were learning. You were being trained in silence, taught by pain, schooled by the stars. While they were comfortable, you were becoming. And let's be real, it didn't feel like preparation, did it? It felt like punishment, like being forgotten. Like the universe went silent on you right when you needed answers the most. But that silence, that was your classroom, that loneliness, your initiation. No one talks about what it feels like to be chosen. They just talk about the glow-up at the end. But we know the truth. Being chosen hurts before it heals. It strips you down. It disconnects you from everything and everyone that isn't aligned with your next level. And sometimes that looks like rejection. It looks like betrayal, like being ghosted by people you would have gone to war for, like watching people eat off your name while you go hungry in private. But now look, every no was a gate locking behind you so you couldn't walk back into what you outgrew. Every delay was a redirection, setting you up for something too big to explain in the moment. And every person who exited, they left to make space for those who see you now, not just as someone convenient, but someone cosmic. And now the signs are everywhere, numbers that follow you at the right time, dreams that shake you awake, random videos, songs, conversations that hit you in the exact spot you needed clarity. No, you're not imagining it. That's alignment. That's the universe saying, you're not crazy, you're being guided. People will doubt it because they didn't see the blueprint. They didn't walk your path, so they don't understand how every twist in it led you here. Let them doubt. That's not your job to fix. Your job is to trust the fire that forged you and walk with the kind of confidence that only comes from surviving what was meant to destroy you. And let's also address this. Some of you have doubted yourself, questioned the path, wondered if you're making it all up in your head, wondered if maybe you missed your shot. Let me be clear, if you were finished, you wouldn't still be waking up with that fire in your belly, that hunger to become, that push you feel every time you try to shrink and stay quiet. That's the universe refusing to let you forget who you are. Stop apologizing for your calling. Stop toning it down just because others didn't get the same vision. You were not rejected, you were repositioned, and those people who walked away from you when you had nothing, let them watch now. Let them sit in silence while the doors that rejected you open on their own, just for you to walk through. Because when the universe opens a door, no one can close it. And when the universe shuts a door, no apology, no second chance, no forced connection can reopen it. That's protection. That's alignment. That's power. So if you're still mourning a rejection, pause and look again. Was it really a loss? Or was it a hidden blessing with sharp edges? Because most of the things that saved you didn't look like miracles in the moment. They looked like heartbreak, like failure, like confusion. But the truth, every single one of those moments was movement. The universe doesn't yell without reason. It doesn't rearrange your life just to leave you stuck. If things fell apart, it's because something stronger was being put together behind the scenes. And now, it's time. Time to trust that the rejection wasn't about you being unwanted. It was about you being too necessary to waste on anything less than extraordinary. So move forward like it was all part of the plan, because it was. Let's keep going. Number 4, the truth you carry could burn empires. That's why they feared you. Your story isn't just a recollection of pain, it's a weapon, a loaded truth that, if spoken, would rip the masks clean off of people who built their entire existence on falsehood. That's why they tried to silence you. That's why the lies came fast, the rumors louder, the isolation heavier. It was never random, it was defense. Because your truth, it's dangerous, not to you, but to them, to the systems, the illusions, the reputations standing on quicksand and ego. You are the walking proof that they can't control the narrative forever. That no matter how many times they try to erase you, edit you, or bury you beneath their version of events, the real story has a pulse, and it beats inside you. Louder every day you stay quiet, stronger every time you try to swallow it back down. It's not just a story anymore, it's a reckoning waiting to be released. They didn't call you unstable because you were weak. They called you that because they were scared. Scared of what would happen if you ever gathered enough strength to say, here's what really happened. Scared of who would believe you. Scared of how many others would recognize their own story in yours and wake the hell up. See, when you carry a truth powerful enough to collapse false thrones, people will do anything to paint you as a liar. Not because you are one, but because your clarity terrifies them. That's why they tried to keep you in confusion. That's why they needed you to doubt your own voice. But that voice, it was never meant to stay locked in your throat. That burning you feel when you lie awake at night. That's the truth trying to be born. That pressure in your chest. That's the weight of unsaid words, truths sealed behind fear, experiences begging for oxygen. And when you feel your fingers twitch, your thoughts race, your soul scream in stillness, it's not restlessness, it's the signal. The universe letting you know you've been quiet long enough. You don't just carry memories, you carry messages, codes wrapped in lived pain, warnings and wisdom earned through fire. And the world, it needs what you've got, even if it's not ready to admit it. They didn't know what they were doing when they pushed you to the edge, because the edge wasn't your breaking point, it was your vantage point. From there, you saw it all clearly. The manipulation, the tactics, the masks people wear. And from that pain, you didn't just rise. You came back with receipts, with clarity, with eyes wide open. You're not here to play nice with lies anymore. You're not here to protect the comfort of people who feasted on your silence. You're here to shake foundations. That's what chosen ones do. You don't just survive, you disrupt. And your truth, it's not just about healing yourself anymore. It's about liberating others. The moment you open your mouth, stories like yours start waking up in other people. The moment you name it, you normalize it. The moment you stop hiding it, you expose the entire machine that thrives on secrecy and shame. You want to know why it's been so hard, because you weren't just healing, you were becoming a threat to every system, every person, every structure that depended on you staying broken. They didn't just fear your voice, they feared what your voice unlocks. So here you are now, still standing, still glowing with a fire they thought would burn out years ago. You've got a dangerous truth and a clear path ahead. And even now, the world may not be ready, but that was never the point. Readiness doesn't matter when the truth is ripe. It's time to speak, not for revenge, not for pity, but because the truth has waited long enough. Let it roar, let it cut, let it correct the record. Because you didn't just survive the storm, you became the storm. And now you carry lightning in your words, thunder in your voice, and a truth so sharp it splits illusions clean in half. They'll say you changed, and they're right. You stopped letting lies live rent-free in your spirit. You stopped being the safe version of yourself just to make liars feel comfortable. You stopped running from your truth, and now it runs through you like fire. Let's keep going. Number 5. They wrote you in as the villain, but you were the plot twist they couldn't control. They needed a villain, someone to blame, someone to carry the weight of everything they didn't want to face in themselves. And you were too easy. Too silent, too isolated, too powerful in ways they couldn't understand. So they labeled you what they feared most, a threat. But let's tell the truth. You weren't the villain, you were the mirror. And when people don't like what they see, they try to shatter the reflection. They couldn't handle how your presence exposed their masks, so they did what cowards always do. They turned the spotlight on you and rewrote the script to make themselves the victims. They twisted scenes, edited out their own actions, and projected every crack in their soul onto your face. And you started to believe it. There were moments you questioned your own memory, weren't there? Moments you sat alone, replaying everything, wondering if maybe you were the problem. If maybe the stories they told about you were true. That's what gaslighting does. It makes the truth slippery. It turns clarity into fog. It makes the chosen one feel like the cursed one. But the universe doesn't lie. And deep down, you know what you saw, you know what you felt, you know what happened, even if they denied it. You know how everything shifted when you started to speak your truth, even a little. You watched people change faces. You watched so-called allies go silent. You watched lies spread faster than facts. You weren't imagining it. You were interrupting it. Some of what you survived doesn't even have words. Situations so surreal, so intense, so unnatural. If you tried to explain them, people would say you were exaggerating. Coincidences so timed they felt orchestrated. Escapes that defy logic. Doors that opened when you had no keys. Answers that came in dreams. Warnings you couldn't ignore. energy that surrounded you like armor when no one else was there. You weren't going crazy, you were being guided. The universe intervened because what you were fighting wasn't just emotional, it was energetic, spiritual, strategic. And the fact that you're still standing here, still holding your truth, is proof that not even a full-scale character assassination could touch what's real. They tried to destroy your credibility because they couldn't destroy your calling. And now it's time they face the reality they tried to rewrite. You don't even need to say much. Your presence is loud enough. Your survival is loud enough. Your peace is loud enough. Because people who truly survive the worst don't need to perform. They carry it, quietly, powerfully, and when the time comes, they speak. You were the villain in their story because you refused to play the fool in their game. And because of that, they needed you gone, forgotten, shamed into silence. But here's the part they never saw coming. The villain they painted is now holding the pen. You have the power now, not to get even, but to set the record straight. And let this be said, it wasn't just their lies that hurt. It was the betrayal. The people who knew better but stayed quiet. The ones who didn't ask questions, who believed what was convenient. That kind of betrayal? It cuts deep. But it also clears the path. Because now you know exactly who never deserved a front row seat in your life to begin with. You've become what they feared. Undeniable. The truth you carry walks ahead of you now. And the lies they told are falling apart on their own. You don't even have to swing. Your story is doing the heavy lifting. They tried to make your name synonymous with drama, dysfunction, instability, but the only instability was how fast their mask slipped when your truth started rising. And now they're scared, not of what you'll do, but of what you'll reveal. So reveal it. Not with rage, but with precision. Not to hurt, but to heal yourself. Not for attention, but for alignment. Because the most dangerous thing you can do to someone who spent years trying to destroy you is survive with receipts. Let your truth speak now. Not like a scream, but like a slow, undeniable unraveling. Let them watch their fiction crumble beneath the weight of your reality. You were never the villain. You were the awakening. The plot twist they couldn't control. The chapter they tried to rip out, only to realize you were the whole damn story. Let's keep going. Number 6. You're not coming back for payback. You're coming back for what's yours. Let them talk about revenge. Let them throw around words like bitter, petty, unhealed. Let them pretend this is about proving something. They'll say that because they still don't understand what's really happening. But we do. This isn't revenge, it's restoration. This is alignment snapping back into place like a bone that was dislocated for too long. This is balance being returned, not by force, not by drama, but by truth. See, what they didn't realize is that you were never trying to get even. You were trying to get free. And now that you are, now that the weight has lifted and your voice is rising, they're scrambling. Not because you've become dangerous, but because your clarity is exposing the lies they thought would never be questioned. They thought the character they created for you would stick forever, that people would always see you through their fog, that the version of you built on half-truths and gossip would become your legacy. But now that you're speaking, truly speaking, everything is shifting. They didn't think that truth could hit this hard without you lifting a finger. They forgot one universal law. You cannot destroy what is protected by purpose. They tried to bury you under labels, under silence, under shame. But you were never the seed they thought. You were the root. And roots don't die quietly. They come back, stronger, wiser, unshakable. When you speak now, something powerful happens. The fog lifts, not just from your life, but from the minds of those who were watching silently. People will start to remember the way things never quite added up. They'll revisit conversations that left them unsettled, re-examine decisions they made about you that didn't sit right in their gut. The puzzle pieces begin to click, not because you force them to, but because truth has gravity. It pulls everything into place. That's what real restoration looks like. Not loud, not chaotic, but undeniable. The kind of shift that happens when the scales finally tip back to where they always should have been. And no, this isn't about being seen by the people who ignored you. It's about seeing yourself clearly for the first time. This is about reclaiming your name, not for validation, but for liberation. You don't need applause. You don't need everyone to admit they were wrong, because truth has a way of echoing beyond denial. The people who need to hear you will. The ones who were blind will blink. The ones who were silent will shift uncomfortably in their seats. And you'll be calm, not cold, not spiteful, just centered. Because when you walk in alignment, you stop chasing explanations. You become the explanation. Let's be honest. You could have clapped back a long time ago. You could have dragged names, posted receipts, fought fire with fire. But you chose silence. Not because you were weak, but because you were focused, healing, preparing. You knew the truth doesn't need an audience to remain real. And now that you're stepping forward, you're not doing it with rage. You're doing it with receipts in your soul and peace in your stride. That's the kind of restoration that makes people nervous. Not revenge, not attacks. Just the raw, unsettling truth rising from the ashes with nothing left to prove. What they tried to destroy is walking tall again. What they tried to hide is now speaking through you. And every fake version of you they built is falling apart in real time. Because nothing threatens a lie more than the presence of someone who lived through it and came back unshaken. Let them say what they will. The damage is already done to their illusions. Your job now is to walk in your fullness, to stop shrinking, to stop questioning, to stop over-explaining. You didn't survive all that pain just to come back for revenge. You came back for redemption, for clarity, for peace, and for every piece of yourself they tried to rip away. Let the world watch. Let the truth land where it needs to. Because when chosen ones rise, it's not loud, it's loud enough. Let's keep going. Number 7, you didn't run away. You were pulled out by the timing that doesn't miss. Some of you disappeared without a word. No goodbye, no explanation. One day you were there, and the next, gone. And they called it cowardice. They said you ghosted, that you couldn't handle the pressure, that you were unstable, impulsive, unreliable. But here's the truth. You didn't run. You were extracted. That wasn't panic. That was precision. That was the universe stepping in and saying, now, go. That was cosmic timing, opening the emergency exit when no one else even knew the building was burning. You weren't escaping, you were being delivered. You were pulled out of the fire before it could finish what it started. They'll never understand what it took to disappear like that. To sever ties, delete contacts, change your number, move in silence. That kind of silence isn't weakness. It's spiritual warfare. It's divine timing in motion. It's the moment you stopped negotiating with danger and said, not another day. You left not because you were afraid of what was behind you, but because something inside you finally trusted what was ahead. You changed your name, your number, your environment. Some of you even changed your identity, not to hide, but to heal, because you realized you couldn't fix your soul in the same space that fractured it. And you didn't need a round of applause or a send-off speech. You needed distance. You needed oxygen. And now, the very path you took to save yourself is about to become a beacon. The map you made in the dark will help someone else find their way out. Because here's the thing about divine timing. It doesn't operate on convenience. It doesn't show up when your bank account is ready, or your friends approve, or your reputation can handle it. It shows up when you're about to break. It steps in when you've cried your last silent tear and whispered, "I can't do this anymore." It shows up when your spirit starts to scream louder than your trauma. That moment you disappeared. That was the moment your story shifted from survival mode to destiny mode. And if you're still wondering why it happened the way it did, so fast, so chaotic, so lonely, understand this. The universe will snatch you out of situations when it knows you've overstayed your lesson. And yes, it's scary. Yes, it feels unfair. Yes, it feels like you're losing everything. But what you were really losing was the lie. The illusion that you needed their approval. The lie that you had to stay loyal to pain just because it was familiar. The lie that peace wasn't possible for someone like you. When chosen ones get their wake-up call, there's no more time to debate. No more room to explain yourself to people who only love the version of you that doesn't make them uncomfortable. You were pulled out because something bigger than you needed to protect what you hadn't even built yet. Your future, your calling, your impact. And now the silence that saved your life is about to speak volumes. People are going to wonder how you made it out. They'll whisper about your glow, your peace, your presence. But they won't know the full story unless you choose to tell it. And when you do, it'll free others who are still where you were, trapped in environments that are dimming their light and stealing their voice. You were the one who got away, not because you were lucky, but because you listened. You trusted the pull. You obeyed the nudge. You honored the voice that said, "This is not where your story ends." Some of you may still carry guilt for how abruptly you left, for the relationships that ended without closure. But let this set you free. Closure is a luxury you don't always get when you're escaping captivity. Sometimes the only closure you need is your own healing. And if anyone ever asks why you vanished, here's the truth. Because staying would have killed me and leaving saved me. Now your life becomes the testimony, not of perfection, but of alignment. Not of revenge, but of purpose. Not of running away, but of being sent ahead. Because chosen ones don't just survive, they go first. They walk the hard road so others don't have to walk blind. You didn't leave to disappear, you left to lead. And now, it's time to be seen again. Let's keep going. Number 8. Your breakthrough wasn't just yours. It was the blueprint. You didn't just escape for your own survival. You escaped to signal freedom to others. Your breakthrough was never meant to stay private. The healing you found, the clarity you now carry, the light that shines through your scars. It's all meant to be seen, not for ego, not for applause, but because someone, right now, is still stuck in the very place you barely made it out of. You were the one who made it through the fire, not to brag about the flames, but to show others where the exits are. Because the version of you that got out, that version is living proof that it's possible, that there is another side, that you don't have to spend your life choking on silence or drowning in fear. You were once where they are now, believing the lies that said you had to stay. That said your worth was based on how much pain you could tolerate, that you were asking for too much, that peace was a fantasy and happiness was for other people. But you broke the cycle, and because you did, they will. This is what alignment looks like. The moment when everything that once felt like it was working against you suddenly shifts, and you realize it was always working for you. It was never rejection. It was redirection. Never punishment. Just preparation. The same universe that let you fall is the same universe that now lifts you up. Not because it changed, but because you did. You finally stepped into your truth. You stopped running from your light. You stopped settling for being tolerated in spaces where you were meant to lead. And now comes the shift, the balance, the universal recalibration. The ledger of injustice has been tallied and the scales are tipping back in your favor. Everything that was taken, time, peace, energy, love, opportunity, is being returned, not just in equal measure, but in overflow. Because when chosen ones align, the abundance isn't small, it's loud, obvious, unshakable. Not just financial, but spiritual, mental, emotional. It's not just about money, it's about magnitude. You begin to attract things that match your healing, people who recognize your value without explanation. Opportunities that feel like they were written specifically for you. A life that doesn't drain you, but fuels you. This is your vindication, but not the kind that comes with bitterness. This isn't about revenge. It's about witnessing how the universe restores what was once unfairly stolen or delayed. You don't even have to fight for it anymore. All you have to do is stay aligned. And let's talk about that. Alignment, because it's not a buzzword, it's a frequency, a state of being, a choice to stop forcing what isn't yours and start flowing with what is. Alignment means walking away from rooms where your spirit shrinks. It means saying no to patterns that once felt like home. It means holding the line when everything in your past wants to pull you back. You're not meant to shrink anymore. You're not meant to blend in just to survive. You are meant to stand tall, to stand out, to shine, even if it unsettles the people who used to benefit from your silence. And now, you shine not because you're trying, but because you've stopped dimming. Let them watch. Let them see how your life has turned. Let them see the glow that doesn't come from validation, but from alignment. Let them witness how the same voice they tried to silence is now speaking freedom into others. How the very person they tried to break is now a symbol of unbreakable purpose. This is cosmic justice, and it's wearing your face. The abundance coming to you isn't random, it's earned. And it's also multiplied because you're not just going to keep it, you're going to share it. In your words, in your presence, in your wisdom, in your silence. You were chosen to be the proof. The living, breathing contradiction to everything they said was impossible. They said you'd never make it, that you'd always be broken, that you'd never find peace, that you'd fade into the background, forgotten. But here you are, not just alive, but aligned. Not just surviving, but overflowing. Not just healed, but healing others. Let's keep going. Number 9, your words won't just echo, they'll engrave. This moment isn't just another chapter in your story, it's the turning point. The one where the voice they tried to silence becomes the legacy they can't erase. Because when you speak now, you don't just share your truth. You activate it. Your voice has changed. It carries something now. Not just words, not just stories, but frequency, a current, a force that rearranges reality. You're not just telling what happened, you're shifting what is. When chosen ones speak from a place of alignment, it does something that can't be undone. It hits like thunder in a place that hasn't heard a sound in years. It cracks illusions wide open. It breaks generational curses without needing to announce it. The truth that once trembled in your throat now thunders with purpose. This is the kind of sound that changes atmospheres. You don't need permission anymore. The spiritual microphone has already been handed to you, and it's live. Every sentence you speak now carves a path. Every truth you share becomes a light in someone else's tunnel. You're not just speaking for yourself anymore. You're speaking for the ones who haven't found their voice yet, the ones still trapped in silence, the ones still wondering if they're crazy for feeling what they feel. Let's be clear. Your story isn't just a reflection of survival. It's a sacred transmission, a legacy in motion, something that generations after you will look to. Not because you were perfect, but because you were real. Because you told the truth when it cost you. Because you rose when it would have been easier to stay broken. You're not just leaving behind a story, you're leaving behind structure, a blueprint, a vibration so strong that even when your voice goes quiet, your words will keep speaking. They'll echo in rooms you never stepped into. They'll reach people you've never met. They'll crack open hearts long after you're gone. And here's the part that's going to hit deep. Everything you say now, everything, plants itself in the soil of the future. Every truth, no matter how painful, becomes inheritance. You are laying down stones for others to stand on. You are building something eternal in a world that is addicted to forgetting. That's the power of aligned truth. It doesn't fade. It crystallizes. It hardens into legacy, into memory, into monuments. The kind that last longer than statues. The kind that outlive buildings. The kind that can't be deleted or destroyed because they're encoded into energy itself. Your truth is now bigger than you. It has a job to do. It has people to reach, souls to awaken, chains to break. And as you speak it, fully, without flinching, you step into your highest timeline, the one that was waiting on this exact version of you to arrive. Don't hold back. Don't censor it to make others comfortable. This isn't the time for soft stories or half-truths. This is the time to leave evidence, to let the world know exactly what you survived, and how you survived it, and how you turned survival into strategy, pain into power, silence into sound. This is more than vindication. This is the official documentation of your becoming. They may have written you out of their version of the story, but now you're writing something they can't edit. Something that outlives them. Something that outlives you. Let your truth be loud. Let it be clear. Let it be final. Because this isn't just the end of your silence. This is the beginning of your legacy. And when it's all said and done, your name won't just be remembered. It will be revered, not for being the loudest, but for being unshakably real. Speak, the moment has arrived. This is the one that changes everything, forever. Let's keep going.